If you keep losing games so far in college football 27 and have no idea what you're doing on defense, this is going to be the perfect video for you. Today I'm breaking down 5 elite defensive tips that if you actually implement them, you're going to see your win rate increase by over 94%. From the best macro adjustments that how to stop the run every time to even a hidden pro trick that not enough players know about. You're going to be dominating before anyone else even has the game. You're not going to want to miss out on anything I'm breaking down today, so let's jump right into it. The first thing that you need to master on defense here in college football 27 is actually the best settings because there's so many new ones that you need to understand. Let me show you. Alright, so we're going to come to our coaching adjustments by pressing the right stick in. Now, you can actually do these in the main menu this year. You don't actually have to do them in-game. Like, you can set them, like, all at once. But then there's certain ones, though, that you need to change throughout the game. So, the first one I want to break down that's actually new is going to be plaster, alright? When triggered, all zone defenders abandon their zones and lock onto the nearest receiver man-to-man, alright? So, I have mine on aggressive, right? If you turn it off, they just sit in their zones. It's like, I would say, obviously I have it on aggressive and I've been liking it on aggressive because you're able to defend route bounces a little bit better. And then I have my plaster trigger on out of the pocket, all right? I don't want it to be timed because if the quarterback has all day in the pocket, essentially those guys, when they route bounce, they'll leave their zones and leave guys open underneath. So you really only want the plaster to trigger when the quarterback actually escapes the pocket, and it's literally immediately after he escapes the pocket, all right? So you want to make sure that it's on this plaster time here is on aggressive. Just don't put it on conservative. You can leave it on default too, but if you want it to be even faster where you're actually being able to lock onto all those receivers, you want to make sure that you have your plaster time on aggressive. But next, there's these new man coverage checks that exist in this game, and let me tell you, man coverage is really good. You guys know I love running zone coverage pretty often, pretty much 100%, but man is good in this game, so if you're going to run man, you want to make sure that you have your man coverage check on combo, alright? So it says, when two defenders are lined up behind one another in a stack formation, the two nearest defenders will read the routes and swap assignments. One takes whoever goes inside, the other takes whoever goes outside, right? So that's going to help against those pick plays. But my favorite one here is the man coverage check against bunch, where this is going to be most common for you that you're playing against. When receivers are grouped together, tightly bunched, right, the defenders on the middle will lock on while the other two guys read routes and swap if needed. So why this is good is if we put this on default, this is what would happen in previous years, all right? So we're just going to call, an overload blitz right here. They're going to be in bunch. So you see how we're actually going to move this guy over, all right? So we're going to have it kind of like this. What would happen in previous years is you could basically create like a pick. And if you put the tight end on like a flat route like this, there would be certain times where that safety would get bumped and not defend that. Now, right there, he did a good job, but there's certain route concepts that they can really set that up pretty easily from, where this safety like bumps into somebody and then like leaves an easy opening. So, I try to slant right there. Maybe I gotta have him a little bit closer. Because it's like, even if he's really close, there's a lot of traffic, he's susceptible to get bumped very easily. Like, kind of like right there, actually, right? So we look at the replay. I'm going to show it to you where he got bumped right there. And so that caused him to get beat on this route. So we're looking at, I think it's this defender right here. So one bump there, and then he bumps. And that's exactly what you can do from a bunch formation in previous years when you have that setting on default. And so really that's why I say if you're going to come to your coaching adjustments, you're running man, they're playing against bunch, you're going to run point combo. Because now you're going to see what's going to happen is whoever goes outside is going to get taken by the outside corner. Right, so we're actually going to set it up the same way. We're going to move this guy outside or over here. So now we have our man coverage. And so what's going to happen is somebody's going to take the inside guy, right? So that's going to be probably the safety here. And then what's supposed to happen here is this linebacker is going to, or the safety is going to guard the inside guy. So, perfect. Exactly what you're trying to do. That's not going to be open because the bumping's not going to occur here. So, we look at the replay, and really why this works is, okay, now the corner, so it's the outside corner takes the first guy that goes outside, the safety, the guy manned up on number 2, the point man, he stays locked onto him, and then this guy takes whoever goes inside, which is the drag. So it's going to be a lot better to help you defend these type of plays in bunch, where you're actually able to try to defend this. Now, also what you want to make sure you understand is when you run a coverage like this, where you have the tight end manned up from across the field, this was another thing that would happen all the time, where you would have the tight end manned up from across the field, and so this would be a wide open flat route because he has way better leverage. But now what you're able to see is this should defend this, because now that safety comes over and actually takes the guy who's running inside and then allows for the outside corner to take the flat route here. So again, I cannot emphasize enough how important this is going to be this year on defense for those of you guys that run man coverage, or even if you're running a hybrid defense. You want to use that man cover check on point combo when you're playing against bunch formations so that you don't get these random bumping and random misalignments on defense. But that's the best settings to use here that are new in college football 27. Alright, the next thing you're going to need on defense after you master the best settings is actually a glitch blitz to be able to get the quarterback on the ground in a hurry. Let me show you what I mean. Alright, so we are going to come into nickel 3-3 Cub here, and our play is going to be Mike Blitz 0, alright? And so really what we're trying to do, this was pretty good last year, and it's good again this year. I would say the best defense here in the game. But what we're going to do here, we have Mike Blitz 0, we're going to shift our defensive line to the left. Now, you have to understand that these adjustments are different here in this game from 26. So in order to shift your D-line, instead of pressing D-pad left twice, you have to press the right stick to the left, boom, and then to open the D-line, and then you have to press the left stick to the left. So right stick left stick left to shift your D-line left. So now that's what you're going to see is going to happen, and then you're going to press Y, right, and then A here, and then press the left stick to the right to drop this guy into a curl flat. The adjustments are all new here in this game. This is something I'm going to talk about in future videos as well, but you really have to get good with these new quick adjustments to be able to make these adjustments faster. But also, you can just macro into this. So in my defensive ebook that is going to be that's part of CFBU that we'll talk about later, I give you guys all the best macros, but one of them here is going to be an overload blitz, where you just set up the macro just like this, and now you can basically set up your entire defense from 2 button presses, or you can do it in the play call menu. So regardless of which method you choose, what you're going to see right here is we are just going to be able to walk in the backfield free, because we create a 4-on-3 advantage over here on this right side of the offensive line, or excuse me, on the left side of the offensive line. So boom, take the snap, immediately press your D-pad to the right, and that's what's going to allow for that edge rusher to come in completely untouched. Again, because my user, right, runs into the center because I'm standing in the right spot, and then that just creates this easy 4-on-3 advantage over here. Also, having the quick jump ability on this defender is going to make this a lot easier. Like, we look at the ball, like you see how he's already kind of, well, maybe that time he didn't, but it's like quick jump, especially when it's on platinum, is going to allow you to get off the ball a lot faster, which is really all it takes for you to get some of these blitzes home a little bit easier. So again, set the blitz up using the macro is what I would recommend, just because that saves you a lot of adjustment time. And like I mentioned earlier, man coverage is actually pretty good in this game, so you can get away with like pressing, especially if you're using like Notre Dame. They're like the best man coverage team. They'll just press everyone into the dirt and then allow you to get this really quick pressure. But again, stand in this correct spot here, right? And so we're going to go ahead and have, you know, them set up pass protection. Boom, take the snap, immediately press your D-pad to the right, and now you're just able to see how it's very important to user. Look at how sticky that man coverage is, even when the blitz doesn't fly in, because no blitz is going to work 100 times out of 100, right? Sometimes the offensive line does a better job, but look at this. Pressing him into the dirt, pressing this dude into, like, man coverage just happens to be really good in this game. And then you can also add other things on top of it to make it better. But you see how I'm back over here in coverage, boom, and then I'm lurking around to take away their in route, their, you know, shriek, whatever could possibly be on the field. You're just going to notice how it's going to be really easy to guard. But then also they block their running back as well, because that could be a counter that you see. You're expecting for this edge rusher over here to be able to just destroy that guy at the point of attack, right? So we're going to press our defense again. They're going to go ahead, block their running back. And so if it's a one-on-one with that running back, you know, with your edge rusher, you expect him to be able to be bigger, stronger than him and win that rep. So we take it, he comes in free, and you just see how he throws that guy to the ground. while we have lockdown coverage on the back end. So really Mike Blitz zero here from through Cub, regardless of if they block their running back or they end up sending 5 out. I mean, it's going to be really quick pressure just like that. And then our man coverage is super locked down on the back end, and making this the best blitz defense in the game. Alright, so if you're enjoying this defensive breakdown so far here in College Football 27 and you found it helpful, make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button. I break down College Football 27 tips and tricks just like this every single day to help you guys get better, and you're not going to want to miss out on any of the content I have because there's so many new things here in this game. But if you want all 5 of these tips in written form to be able to save them on your phone for the rest of the year, never lose access to the settings, the blitzes, anything, go to the link down below in the pinned comment to join CFB University, where you can use code YouTube to get your first month for 20% off. It has my 425 man pressure defensive ebook, which has videos, screenshots, all the best macros, and it's going to have all the tips in this video for you to save on your phone. I highly recommend you check it out. It's going to transform the way you're able to win games here in College Football 27, and let's jump right back into the video. Because the reality is, even if you have those new best settings and you're blitzing the quarterback, if you can't stop the run in this game, you're going to absolutely struggle. The run is so much better here in College Football 27, so you have to be able to defend it. Let me show you exactly how. Alright, so whether you've played the game already or, you know, this is your first time getting on today here, like, the run you're going to see is really good. These blocks are really great. I mean, pretty much a lot of these automatic run defenses that worked in 26, they don't work in this game, or they're at least a lot different, all right? And so you're just seeing how, like, these guys actually hold blocks really well. The speed boost is probably about 30% of what it was in 26, so it's still going to be good, especially in, like, cut later in the year, and even in regs with, like, the Ole Miss running back or the Oregon running back, you can boost. So the run just, you know, on average is going to be a lot better here. So you have to be able to defend it, all right? So really, there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. You can start by gap shooting, so you come into options, or again, you can actually set this in the main menu as well. You don't have to do this in game, but if you come into your, let's see, gameplay helpers, turn defensive heat seeker assist on, and then turn your window all the way up to 200%. The reason why is I liked 100% last year, but I've been playing this game. 100% is just not going to get the job done. Like, they don't get the same suction that they did in you know, previous years here, and so that makes it a lot harder to stop the run, you know, gap shooting with your user. Not to say it can't be done, because I'm going to come into Mike Blitz there. It's just going to take practice. Now, I'm going to show you a few different ways that you can do here, but the first one's going to be shooting a gap. So you have to make sure, though, that you do not get caught, if you have a sub linebacker or a safety, that you do not get caught with a offensive lineman. Like, if you do, he's just going to he's going to throw you to the ground, like, very often, or you'll never get off that block. So you have to make sure you're standing in a good spot so that you can loop around and not ever get touched by an offensive lineman. All right, so we loop around here, and then I'm able to dive tackle. I'm telling you, 200% versus 100% is a huge difference, so make sure you change that this year. But you're able to see how, like, this gap is pretty small, but I'm still able to just run through and dive tackle him. Again, Heat Seeker is going to steer you towards the ball carrier on those runs, and so you need to make sure that you have that setting turned on. But again, boom, dive, and we're able to bring him to the ground. I'm telling you, I can't even, like, it's such a huge difference being able to just gap shoot and dive tackle versus, again, if I stand too close to this guy, I'm going to get blocked by him every single time. But because I'm able to gap shoot, dive tackle, that's going to be really easy. So that's gap shooting. I would say I wouldn't say it's the easiest. It might actually be in this game. It's just going to take a little bit more practice for you. But another great way that you can try to stop the run here, if you're not great with gap shooting, is coming into like a cover 4 base play, and then making sure you're not in match. So just put your curl flats on 5, and then putting your safety depth on at 9 with your safety width on pinch. All right. So basically, you're going to be running a cover 4 shell, and so your safeties are going to be closer to the line of scrimmage, which is going to give you better run fits. Now, you can still work on gap shooting with this. You can still shoot a gap and try to, right? So I'm going to loop around and I'm going to try to dive tackle, but you see how even when I miss, that safety is closer to the line of scrimmage than he would be regularly, and so that's going to allow him to just come in free and kind of clean up the mess that I left, right? So this time, again, I'm going to I didn't really do a great job shooting that gap there, but he comes down and actually ends up making that play. So really, stopping the run in this game, it's tough because the blocks are really good. Like if you get caught in a lineman like I do right here because you don't shoot it properly, you're done for. But you can have your safety closer to the line of scrimmage using the correct settings, and he's going to come in free, just be standing there to stop the run. So either work on gap shooting or turn your safety depth to like 9 yards with your width on pinch so they're closer and in better run fits, and it's going to be a lot easier to contain the run game. Alright, so if you found this defensive breakdown helpful so far here in College Football 27, make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button. I break down College Football 27 tips and tricks just like this every single day, and we're going to be doing it all year, even in like later in the year, in like May. So you really want to be subscribed if you're serious about getting better. So it's literally free. Go down below, hit that subscribe button today, and let's jump into those final 2 tips. Because next I want to break down the best pro defense trick that not enough players that just got the game are going to know about, but it's going to make your zone coverage defense that much better. Let me show you. Alright, so what I'm going to be breaking down here is going to be aggressive curl flats. Now, there's 2 different ways that you can actually do this. You can either come into your coaching adjustment, then come into cover strategy, zone strategy, put this on aggressive. Understand though that this, if you do it that way, it's going to save you an adjustment at the line of scrimmage, but now your entire defense is on aggressive, which means even your deep safeties are on aggressive, which makes it easier to get bombed over the top, obviously. So really, I wouldn't recommend doing that. Instead, what I'm going to show you here is just putting your individual curl flats on aggressive. So put this back on default. I would also recommend you put your safety depth back to default here. I just like playing on default unless you're getting beat up the seam, and then put the width back to default here. But what I'm showing you is come into any play with curl flats, right? Purple zones, cover 3 buzz is a great example. And so what you're going to do is instead press Y and then press the icon of your DB, which in this case for me it's going to be Y. So Y twice or triangle twice. And you're going to put him on aggressive by pressing D-pad down like this. So now he's going to be the only defender on the field that's on aggressive. And the reason why this is valuable is because now what you're going to see is he plays super baity. So even though he's on aggressive, which really means he should be giving up deeper passes, he plays really out of his mind and like almost defends this corner route. Like you see how he's almost like defending that and making it a really tough read for the offense. Like they just can't like high throw that pass, right? Or just throw that pass. But then also he does a great job of defending underneath passes, obviously. So we're going to, again, put him on aggressive here. And what you're just going to see is, boom, we take the snap. And, of course, he's just going to defend that pass. Well, he kind of, he was there. But it's like, this game has some bad animations, which we'll talk about, in future videos. But it's like, he's going to defend the deeper pass a little bit. Now, he's not actually guarding that corner. Like, if they wait, have good pocket presence, step up, the corner route's open. But it's like, what's going to happen is he's baiting it. And so that's really the key. So that's what I'm going to show you here now that I'm going to have both routes. So I'm going to put him on aggressive. They're going to call a route concept like this. And so he's almost baiting the corner. She's going to drop back to it. And then they're going to immediately throw that. Because once they see basically that, like good offensive players, once they see that a curl flat backpedals, they think that they can just throw the flat. So backpedal, and then he comes down to guard this. Now again, like I said, he's not taking this away, so they step up, they can throw it, but it's like you're going to trick them into thinking that the corner route's covered, so they're going to try to hit the check down, and then it actually just ends up where the check down's covered as well. Right, so we put this guy on aggressive. Maybe we also have, a drag route on the field, so a route concept like this. So he's going to backpedal, and then they throw it because they think he's backpedaling, and so then you're able to take it away. So it's to say that I'm not saying it's going to cover both, but you're not going to stop a flood concept with one zone, but you are able to get this right here. This is a great example where he backpedals immediately. If I'm on offense, I think that this guy's just dropping back in a default curl flat, so I'm going to throw my drag. And so when they end up throwing it, he just knocks it away, and it's going to be an easy breakup. So that's really a pro defense trick that's going to make your zone coverage better, actually using aggressive curl flat. So it's a default curl flat, but then you're putting it on aggressive at the line of scrimmage, and it's going to make him play that much baitier, and it's going to get you a lot more interceptions and breakups. Alright, and that fifth and final defensive tip that I'm going to break down here in this video is something that everyone wants to know about. BLT, what are the best macro custom adjustments that I need to be using here in CFP 27? Let me show you. Alright, so we're going to be on the main menu here. We're going to come into create and share. Alright, and so then we're going to come down to edit and custom adjustments. This is how you're going to set up your macros. You'll hear them called macros, custom adjustments. They're the same thing. Alright, so we obviously have 10 on offense, 10 on defense, and then you also have an additional 10 that are benched adjustments. So like I made 2 ebooks here last week, so I had, some extra benched adjustments that I'm not using for my main offense. But whatever your main scheme is, those are the custom adjustments you want to use. So you can see right here, I have like overload blitz, which we talked about earlier, and we have a bunch of other ones here, which are obviously in my defensive ebook from the 425 playbook. But what you're seeing here is if we click this, you can basically choose to route commit your whole defense. You can pass commit your whole defense. Doing all the line of scrimmage adjustments really before you even, you don't even have to do them at the line of scrimmage. You can just have them basically, it's like coding here in this game, coding a defense out to where, again, you just have to press 2 buttons and then you're good to go. So that's how you're going to do it. You're just pressing those buttons and then you're going to save it. And so then when you get in a game, it's going to show up like I'm about to show you. All right, so one of the most common plays that offenses are going to throw at you is just a simple flood concept, right? So if we just come into like cover 3 buzz, right? And so what you're going to see is, again, I actually alluded to this earlier, but if they just call street corner flat, hike the ball, and they have time to throw, that corner route's open. Again, they're going to need time to throw, so it's going to be really hard for you to be able to defend flood concepts in cover 3, but also if you run cover 2, you can't defend both. You're either going to take away the corner out, give up the flat, or take away the flat, give up the corner. Right, so you're just going to see how this time we're taking away the corner, but we give up the flat really easily. So you don't want to make the game that easy for your opponent. So a great macro to set up would be a double Mabel coverage. Now, I'm going to actually reset this play just so I can count how many button presses this would be to set up a double Mabel. So what you're going to see is, well, you could really just set your zone drop to 25 yards, so that you wouldn't need to do that. But this would be 1, 2, 3, 1, or 4, 5, 6, and then I actually probably would be good because then my guys would be dropping. So it would be 6 adjustments versus just using a macro, a custom adjustment. So you press LB, and then I press D-pad up. That's cover 2, double Mabel right. Now, what you have to understand is you're in a nickel defense, which means that your slot corner is going to determine how the coverage plays. So what you see right here is that's the reason I called it double Mabel right, because I only want to call this when my slot corner is on the right side. Now what you're going to notice is we're taking away the short route, the flat, we're taking away the deep route, the corner, and I only need 2 button presses to be able to set that up. So again, boom, we're going to take it, and then we do get instant pressure, but like this man's dropping, at 5 yards to take away this flat, easy, and then he's dropping right here to take away this deep corner. So instead of me having to use like 6 button presses, which some of y'all really aren't going to be able to do and get off, now all you have to do is press LB and then D-pad up. And so now I have the defense set up like this, and I'm still sending 4. Right, and I have my user blitzing, so the game's I'm actually gonna be able to shed like I did on that play. So that's really the first custom adjustment macro you want to make sure that you have equipped. Is actually a way to really quickly run a cover 2 double Mabel, especially on the right. Now, if they flip their play or they come out with it on this side, now what you're going to see, I'm going to flip my play, right, and then I'm going to try to re-macro, but it's going to be incorrect. So it's like you could really set up 2 different macros for the double Mabel on the right versus the double Mabel on the left side. But what you're going to see right here is I'll just change it using custom adjustments. So now it's really the same thing and we're good to go, right? So it's just like play around with it. You could really use 2 different, like I said, use 2 different macros, one for double Mabel on the right, one for double Mabel on the left. Although I personally would just use one, and then if they end up flipping or coming out on this side, I'm just going to use quick adjustments to change it with like 2 button presses. But that's really the best starter macro to use because it's probably the most useful in a lot of different situations, being able to defend the short and deep sideline at the same time, really from just, again, 2 button presses. Alright, so if you found this defensive breakdown helpful here in College Football 27, or you're going to start using these tips in your next game, make sure you go down below, hit that subscribe button. I break down College Football 27 tips and tricks just like this every single day to help you guys get better, and we're we're going to be doing it all year. But if you're tired or ready to really play great defense here in College Football 27, go to the link down below in the pinned comment. Join CF University, where you can get your first month for 20% off by using code YouTube at checkout. I have my 4-2-5 defense in there, and I'm going to be adding all of the tips that are here in this video to that. So if you're ready to start dominating from the moment you pick up the game, highly recommend you join today. But if you want to see a preview of what CFU actually looks like, check out this short video that I prepared for you. I'll see you over there. Peace.